For as long as we've been telling stories, we've wondered what's right beneath our feet. I mean, not just a few feet down, but miles deep into the very heart of the Earth. It's this deep fascination that's fueled ancient myths, some really strange scientific theories, and of course, some of the greatest adventure stories ever told. So let's dive in. This one line just captures the whole dream perfectly, doesn't it? The idea of a lost world, hidden right under our noses, just waiting to be found. And for centuries, this wasn't just a fantasy in a book. For some people, it was a serious theory about how our planet was actually built.
And this idea has an incredibly long and wild history. I mean, in ancient times, cultures all over the globe imagined these underground realms. Places like the Greek underworld or the mystical city of Shambhala. But then it got scientific. Kind of. In the 17th century, the famous astronomer Edmond Halley, and yes, we're talking about the same Halley of Halley's Comet, he actually proposed a model of a hollow planet to try and explain weird magnetic readings. Fast forward to the 19th century, and you've got guys like John Cleves Sims Jr. petitioning Congress to fund expeditions to find giant holes at the North and South Poles. Eventually, of course, science moved on, and the idea settled firmly into the world of fiction where it thrived.
So you end up with two completely different ideas about our planet. On one side, you've got the myth, this huge open space inside the Earth with a little sun and lost civilizations. And on the other, you have the reality that modern science has shown us. By studying how earthquake waves travel through the planet, we've mapped it out. We know there's a dense, layered world down there, a solid inner core, a liquid outer core, a thick mantle, and then the thin crust we live on. So case closed, right? The Earth is solid.
Well, here's where our story takes a really fascinating twist. The classic hollow Earth with dinosaurs and a sun in the middle, yeah, that's a myth. But the idea of a hidden world, a literal world within our world, well, that turns out to be surprisingly true.
See, the real hidden world isn't at the planet's core. It's locked away beneath the largest, thickest ice sheet on Earth. We're talking about a vast, dark, interconnected network of rivers and lakes, some of which have been sealed off from the surface for millions of years. And we're not just talking about a few little ponds here. Using satellite data, we now know of more than 231 active subglacial lakes. That means they're constantly filling up and draining. And that number? It's still growing as our technology gets better. This is a massive dynamic plumbing system hidden from view. Okay, but that brings up a pretty big question, right? If these lakes are buried under miles of solid ice, how on earth do we even know they're there, let alone that they're filling and draining?
The answer is actually beautiful in its simplicity. From space, we literally watch the surface of the Antarctic ice sheet slowly rise and fall, almost like it's breathing.
So here's how it works. Satellites, like the European Space Agency's Cryosat-2, use super precise radar to measure the height of the ice. By watching the same spots for years, they can see these really subtle changes. When a hidden lake fills with meltwater, the ice surface right above it actually bulges up, sometimes by several meters. Then, when that lake drains into another lake or out to the ocean, the surface just sinks back down. By mapping these tiny ups and downs, we can trace the entire plumbing of a hidden continent. It's incredible. Now, the absolute crown jewel of this hidden world is Lake Vostok. It is one of the largest lakes on the entire planet, and it's been completely isolated, sealed under almost 4 kilometers of ice for an estimated 15 million years. That is an environment more alien than the surface of Mars. And just to help you wrap your head around the scale we're talking about here, the amount of water in Lake Vostok is over 5,400 cubic kilometers. That is so much water you could fill the entire Grand Canyon and still have a ton of water left over. This isn't just a lake, it's basically a subglacial ocean. Which of course leads to the ultimate question. In a place that's been sealed off for millions of years, with absolutely no light and under crushing pressure, could anything possibly exist? I mean, just think about the conditions down there. It's total permanent darkness, so no photosynthesis. The pressure from the miles of ice above is just immense. It's freezing cold. And this ecosystem has had zero contact with the outside world for geologic ages. It seems totally impossible. And yet, they found life. This quote here is the key. By drilling carefully into another one of these lakes, Mercer Subglacial Lake, scientists found microbes that had figured out how to survive without the sun. They were living off the chemical energy from the rock itself. But it gets even more incredible. In a different survey, when a team lowered a camera down a borehole into another lake, they were shocked to see this dense swarm of little crustaceans, probably a type of amphipod. The swarm was so thick that they genuinely thought their camera lens was dirty or broken. This wasn't just some microbial slime. This was a complex, thriving ecosystem.
So how in the world does this work? It all comes down to a process called chemosynthesis. See, as that massive glacier grinds over the bedrock, it pulverizes rock into a fine dust. Microbes have evolved to basically eat the minerals in this rock dust, using chemical reactions to create energy instead of sunlight. These amazing little microbes then become the very base of a food web that can support bigger creatures, all of it happening in total crushing darkness.
So, we've done it. We've confirmed that Earth has a hidden, living world right beneath its own ice, which is amazing. But beyond just being an incredible discovery, why is this important? What can these secret lakes really tell us? Well, it turns out the implications are massive, and they fall into three main categories. First, Earth's past. Sediment cores from these lakes contain the remains of ancient sea creatures, proving that as recently as 6,000 years ago, the ocean was much farther inland. This tells us the West Antarctic ice sheet is way more dynamic than we ever thought. Second, Earth's future. The water draining from these lakes acts like a lubricant at the base of the ice, speeding up how fast it flows to the sea. Understanding this hidden plumbing is a critical missing piece in our models for predicting future sea level rise. And finally, and maybe most excitingly, life beyond Earth. An ecosystem thriving in a cold, dark, isolated ocean under a thick ice shell? That is the single best real-world example we have for how life might exist on icy moons like Jupiter's Europa or Saturn's Enceladus. But exploring this world is incredibly difficult. The biggest challenge isn't just getting through all that ice. It's getting there without destroying the very thing you came to find. You have to melt a hole through kilometers of solid ice. Early attempts at this used tons of chemicals like kerosene to keep the hole from freezing shut, which would have been a disaster for the pristine lake below. The new goal is totally contamination-free access. This has led to some amazing new tech, like a robotic probe called the Triple Icecraft. It's designed to melt its way down, take samples, analyze them right there on the spot, and send the data back up, all without introducing a single microbe from our world into theirs. So you see, that old myth of the hollow Earth was wrong about the details, sure, but it wasn't wrong in spirit. These subglacial lakes really are time capsules of Earth's ancient past. They're unique laboratories for how life can survive in extreme places. And just maybe, they're a little preview of the kind of worlds we might one day find far from home. Which leaves us with one final, just tantalizing thought. After all our exploration, our own planet still hides worlds so alien, we've barely begun to understand them. If life can find a way in the crushing dark beneath Antarctica, what discoveries are waiting for us in the hidden oceans of an icy moon billions of kilometers from the sun?